And here we are. Welcome everyone to yet another installment of Twitch Learn CS. Today we're doing something very exciting that actually, so for those of you who are more like who like to get your hands dirty instead of just doing theory all the time, this is going to be the exciting part. Tonight we are going to be actually making something instead of, tinkering around. We're actually going to make a real lab. So the goal for do you guys have an idea of what we're gonna do tonight? So first of all, hello Scout, hello Daniel.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Do you guys know what we're doing tonight?
We were doing a lab with I saw you had something with a firewall and the. Sorry, I just got back from work and I'm just looking through it now.
No worries.
Okay.
So yeah, we're doing a lab, but like, do you have an idea what I mean when I say we're doing a lab?
Yeah, it means we're doing a slightly more in-depth, not necessarily theory-related thing, but we're working with VMs in a little bit more in-depth way,
Yeah.
where we're basically trying to make something.
So a lab is usually like more in depth, like you've explained. And the way I want to do this lab today is by using virtual machines. That is in fact why last week we did that quick virtualization introduction, because now we can actually make VMs and we can use that to set up our complex labs without too much trouble. So let me share my screen with you guys. So what we are going to do today, hello Zeiss, what we are going to do today is I want us to set up something rather simple. I want us, where's my pen? Is my pen not showing up? Okay, great. My pen's not working. But we always have an alternative.
Okay, virtual machine name, FreeBSD version 10.
We'll get to that in a moment.
Okay, I'm just saying I have it now.
Okay, great. Um, it's kind of stupid. Okay. So, what I want to do tonight, um, I want us to set up a lab like this. I want us to have basically just two PCs. Oh, wow, this is gross. Two PCs connected to what's going to be a router, which itself would be connected to the internet. Rather simple, right?
Correct?
Now, the tricky part is we are going to do all of that, of course, as you guessed, inside a virtual machine. Inside several virtual machines, in
Oh,
fact.
okay.
So we're going to be running one client, two clients in VMs, and then the router itself is also going to be running inside a virtual machine. And I suppose to be absolutely clear, the what would happen next is basically the interesting part would also be setting up all the networking. So the idea would be we'd have a VM with three interfaces, which would be our router. Our router right here would have three interfaces, right? One to the internet and one for each client.
Okay.
And then the even more interesting part is that this interface here that's connected to the internet would actually be the physical interface of our actual PC. So that it actually has access to the internet.
Okay. No, I think I see what you're getting at.
So the lab itself is pretty simple, right? Then we can just decide on we can just decide on network addresses. Like we can decide this would be like 10.0.0.0 0/8 or whatever. Like, it doesn't really matter, right? Then it's rather simple networking. But the tricky part is basically putting everything together. We're going to put everything we've learned so far, we're going to put together. And I think we can do that in a few hours. Now, Daniel, I have a very important question for you because I know that you're working on a laptop. Have you had the chance to look into like what CPU you're running? Like how many cores, especially?
Um, I don't know if you can hear me, but
Yes.
4,
Okay.
I guess is the answer. My machine says that it has 4, and I believe it.
Okay, does it say so you have a
And how
Mac,
many
right?
threads?
Yeah, but well, that's the thing. It's probably 4 threads, but then does it have hyper threading or not? Um okay. So Daniel, what I suggest you do when you create your virtual machines is you give each of them just a singular core, okay? So you give one
Okay.
core to this client, one core to this client, one core to the router. It should be fast enough. And it shouldn't slow down your mission. And I really suggest that you close as as many things as you can on your Mac as well. Just basically just leave only like Discord and VMware open.
Or VirtualBox, I guess. I think that's what
VirtualBox, like whatever. Oh yeah, right. That's going to be that might end up being an issue for us. The fact that you're running VirtualBox, we'll see. But yes, just your hypervisor and Discord. Okay. So without further ado, let's get started. So we're gonna start with the easy part. Now we don't actually have to. So we're gonna start with the clients. So I'm gonna go through this a little bit faster this time because we've done this last week. Okay.
correct. Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna create a new virtual machine. I'm gonna select an ISO. Let's see, Linux Mint. Okay. Select Linux. Ubuntu is actually correct because Mint is Ubuntu based. Mint client 1. In terms of disk size, I think Mint needs 9 gigabytes. So I could get away with 10 gigabytes, maybe. I'm not sure. I'll try 10 if it doesn't work. Because I personally, like, if I look at. Because I'm going to have, like, actual disk space issues. Yeah, I have 40 gigabytes. Wait, what is this? Oh, okay, yeah. Um, yeah, I only have 40 gigabytes on my disk, so maybe I can make some room. Okay, I'm gonna make some room real quick. Okay, should be freeing about 10 gigs here. So, I'm actually gonna go with 20. Actually, you know what? Since I have a doubt, let me check on the Mint website. Like, what's the minimum? Mint minimum requirements. 5 gigabytes of disk space. Okay, then 10 is more than enough. Customize hardware. 4 gigs of RAM is kind of overkill, so I can go to 248 megabytes. Processors, I can go up to 4 personally. Always check this box. Now,
Oh, can you shoot me the link to download Mint again, just in case? Because will I need it for
sure.
this lab, or am I just using the ISO that you sent us?
You're gonna need Linux Mint as well.
Okay. Let me look it up then real quick. I think it's in our chat history. I'll look it up again.
Yeah, it probably is. So this is the part where you might want where you want to pay some attention where you want to pay attention. So the network adapter for let me full screen. Okay, so the network adapter for our Linux Mint client, the difficulty here is, if you remember, what I want to do is have two Linux Mint desktops. How do I explain this? So basically, what we have two ways of doing this, okay? And I guess I can let you guys decide what you think makes the most sense. We can either have something where we'd have sort of a virtual switch, and the clients would be connected to the virtual switch, then would be connected to the firewall, right? So we could have a virtual switch. That's the first option. Or we could have each PC directly connected to the firewall. So basically the question is, do we want the two PCs here to be in the same subnet or not? And I guess that's really up to you guys. Like, it doesn't make that big of a difference.
Whatever you think would make the best example on this. Now, again, I'm having the same issue as last time. No matter what I download, it is not letting me do I am trying multiple different mirrors, and none of them actually get me to a download.
That's an issue. Well, I don't know. Like, okay, you know what we can do actually?
Like, I've tried University of Washington mathematics, I've tried Harvard School of Engineering, I've tried James Madison University, I've tried even the world location ones, and nothing's working.
Okay. Here's what
Like, it
we're
doesn't
gonna
even start a
do.
download.
Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you a link to the ISO. Okay.
I don't know why it's being dumb on me. Like, I'm literally on the official page.
Let's see.
Because I know, I would assume I know how to download a program.
Okay. I'm gonna send you a link.
Let's see.
All right. See if you can download this.
Okay. Where was that sent?
In classroom dump.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess we're gonna do it this way, where we have two subnets. So we're going to be using a feature that's called LAN segment. And this is where I don't exactly know if, Daniel, if you're going to be able to follow us on VirtualBox, unfortunately. Like, you're going to have to dig in the settings to see what would do the same job.
Setting on my computer
Okay.
turned on weird because I click on the link and nothing happens.
You click on the link and what, does it not even
It
open up
doesn't
a window?
it doesn't open up anything. I literally
Just
had to copy and paste it into my I copied and pasted it into my browser,
browser.
and
Yeah.
it's all just code.
Oh, yeah, no, that actually makes sense. Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna fix that.
I don't know if my computer's just being dumb. I might
No, no,
have
no,
to.
no. That's on my end. So give me a second. Okay, you're gonna try this link in a minute. Not yet, but you know.
Okay.
Basically, I'm compressing it right now.
Oh, got it. Got it. Got it.
Okay. So This is very important. So what we're gonna do, we're going to there's this feature in VMware called LAN segments. Basically, it's LAN segments are virtual subnets. Okay, so by default there is no LAN segment. There is no virtual subnet. But if I click on this button, LAN segments here, I can actually create some. So let's create a LAN segment called client 1. And then another one called client 2, for instance. So suddenly I can actually select the LAN segment. Does that make sense? So basically what I'm doing here is I'm creating the client number 1, and I'm assigning it to the LAN segment that's called client 1. It doesn't have an IP address yet. It's just like, imagine it as like the physical link, this physical link here. Okay? Does that make sense?
Got it.
We're creating
Yep.
like, we're creating a virtual like Ethernet cord, basically. And right now, the only thing that's plugged into this cord is just the client we're creating. Once we create the firewall, we're going to set one of its interfaces to be connected to client 1 as well. Does that make sense? When we create the firewall, we want one of its interfaces to be in the same subnet as our Linux Mint client here, right? Can you guys see what I'm drawing, by the way? Like, because maybe Discord doesn't work that well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
So does it make sense, right? We're creating 3 subnets. I mean, not creating. We are using 3 subnets. One is connected to the internet, one is connected to client 1, and one is connected to client 2. But so far, those are just like, we're just taking care of like the physical layer of things, okay? We're not setting up IP addresses yet. We're just sort of setting up the virtual physical link, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And so we will, like I've explained to you guys, when we set up the firewall later, the firewall will have 3 interfaces. One on segment client 1, one on segment client 2, and one that's actually connected to our physical interface connected to the internet. So, right now we're taking care of client 1. So, client 1 only has one interface connected to LAN segment called client 1. So far, so good.
Okay.
And that's actually enough. And finish. So we've created our Mint client 1, and we're going to run it to install Linux Mint. So download and install, yes, because those tools are really useful. Okay, we're going to install Linux Mint just like last week. Oh, you need 11 gigs? Oh, okay, never mind. So I'm going to have to change that. 11.8, so I'm going to give it 13.
I'm reading things in internet, and what you call LAN segments in VMware, VirtualBox calls them internal networks. So I'm
Okay.
going to check that.
Okay. Yeah, definitely do. Okay. So, I mean, as long as you understand what we're doing here, where we're creating 3 LAN segments or 3 like virtual networks or whatever, like you understand we're creating three virtual subnets, right? Or more specifically, we are creating only 2 of them, right? Because the third one is an actual physical subnet, right?
Okay.
So
Correct.
as long as you have that figure in mind, you should be able to adapt to whatever lingo they're using. So I need to reconfigure my Linux Mint client because it actually requires more space. Expand this capacity, yes, to 13 gigabytes. Okay. Okay. Let's try that again. And don't hesitate to like interrupt me if something is confusing. Okay.
I'm on board. I get what's happening, but still none of my links are working.
So you don't have the Linux Mint ISO?
No. I clicked on the zip and it won't let me download it.
What does it do exactly? Does it like cancel the download or something?
It doesn't open anything, and I have Chrome set as my default browser.
And you've tried copy pasting the link in your browser as well?
Let me try that one more time. I literally have never had this issue before, so that's why I'm very confused.
I mean, it could be something on my end, but
No such resource file not found.
that could actually be me.
Let me go back to, well, I mean, it didn't work for the download page for Linux Mint either, so
Okay, I'm reading the documentation, and so we want a virtual machine that only talks to the firewall, right?
Um, yes.
Okay, yeah, okay, nice.
I don't want to leave you guys in the dark either. So like, um, you seem to have 2 separate issues. On one end, Scout cannot download the files. On the other, you
I don't
Daniel, you're
understand
using a
what's up.
different.
Like, I thought I could work it out,
Uh,
but let me.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have any issues downloading Mint, so I really.
And it's the XFCE, right?
I mean, I prefer the XFCE, but it's not. It's more lightweight.
Let me see if the Cinnamon client works. Then I'll double check.
Sure.
Cinnamon or Mate, if I can't go with
Uh,
XFCE.
I'm not sure actually. I think Cinnamon is pretty heavy. Mate would be more lightweight, but you have a pretty good CPU, so you should be
I'll
able to
try
run
Mate.
both.
Just see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Daniel, like, so you've asked a question that I don't that kind of confused me. So how exactly is the
Oh yeah, it's weird because there's a thing called rich networking that is a device driver on your host system that filters data from your physical network adapter. This driver is therefore called and
Oh yeah,
then
no, you don't want that.
okay.
No, forget
Wait,
Yeah,
that. That's
that's fine.
way
I'm
more
just
advanced
asking.
that what we're trying to do.
I clicked the torrent link and it at least downloaded something.
Well, that's that sounds good.
Well, I mean, it's on the official site, so I don't think I downloaded malware.
Okay.
Um,
So since you guys are clearly on
oh, isotorrent.
yeah, that sounds right.
Oh, it's the isotorrent though. Does that mean it's an ISO file or? It's a
It's
torrent file.
so it's a torrent file that's gonna download the ISO.
So do I just click on that file?
If you have a torrent client, yes.
Shit. Okay. I do not.
If you're using the
it's trying
Brave browser, there's an integrated torrent downloader. I could not resist to share this ad with you that I just got on the website. So in French it says powerful AMD servers, Zen 2. The new architecture Zen 2. Yeah, that's very funny.
that's new.
Oh yeah, it's the new Intel
the-
10th gen and Zen 2 architecture.
Yeah,
Woo.
those 10900Ks, y'all.
Yo, do you guys know about RTX? It's brand new. Okay, so I'm done installing Mint on this first VM. So what I'm gonna do now, see. Okay, great. So the cool thing is, once we've actually installed Mint once, we don't have to do it again because we can just clone the VM. And that's where it gets really cool. We can actually just clone the VM. We don't have to, like, if we have two clients that are basically the exact same, we can just clone them. That gets really useful when doing labs because let's say you have like a default client, like it's Linux Mint or Windows or anything. It doesn't really matter. Let's say you have like one client that you like using for your labs. You can just have it as a backup, and then whenever you want to use it for a lab, you just copy it. You have the template, and then you just copy it. You just clone it. You don't have to reinstall the full thing every time. Now, one issue is though doing this. I mean, just running any kind of VM is kind of takes a lot of resources. Obviously of CPU and RAM, but also just straight up disk space. Like I'm running this Windows install on a 500 gigs SSD, and I'm running out of space already. I don't even have that many VMs. So, yeah, there's that also to take into consideration. Running virtual machines is not cheap, which is, by the way, why I've actually considered running community servers. So the idea would be, once we sort of get some revenue going for the channel, I would like to invest in a server that paying subscribers could connect to run their own labs instead of having to rely on their own
Kind of like what
PC.
UCF does.
UCF.
Sorry, the school I went to, the University of Central Florida.
Yeah, right. Because not every student is gonna necessarily have the resources to run very complex labs. Obviously, all of that comes at a big cost, though, so it would be much later down the line. But yeah, that would be the goal. And also
we
that
had
would
to
also
run our. Oh, sorry, my bad.
that would also mean that we could do like community projects where it's not just one person working on lab, but it's actually more like the entirety of the community just comes together to work on that one thing. That could be really cool. Also, but
That'd be
although
really cool, actually.
it would be cool, but then it would be difficult also to monitor it, make sure no one messes things up, or like always be capable of rolling back. But yeah, that would be really cool. Okay. So, Daniel, how are things on your end?
Well, I'm confused, but at the same time, I think that it's pretty easy because it says that I only need to select the network of each virtual machine,
Mm-hmm.
and I can just literally create a new network if I
Yep.
need one.
Yep. Exactly. That's the thing because those are like virtual networks, right? Those are virtual LAN segments. So there is no physical limit. There is no limit. Like as long as our hardware can run it, which means and also a LAN segment does not cost us a lot of compute power. As long as we can run it, like the sky's the limit, basically. So yeah, there's no hard limit on how many just there's no hard limit on how many VMs we can have, and there's no hard limit on how many LAN segments we can have. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the upper limit's based off how much CPU you actually have, but
Yeah, exactly. Right, right, right. Um, yeah. This is funny because this is actually why almost 2 years, a year and a half ago now, when I bought the parts for this PC, uh, I picked the 3900X, so a 12 core CPU, which is completely overkill. But I told myself, oh yeah, I justified it by saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna run VMs and whatnot.
yo,
But in the end, I do. So
I hate that I also I also use that as a justification.
yeah, yeah, I'm totally gonna do this thing. Okay. Um, have you managed to download the ISO at all, Scout?
Don't know what's. Let me copy and paste the link one more time just to see if anything's updated on it.
Um, oh Daniel, can you give me can you check if the link works on your end? The link I posted, the zip,
Let me check. Um, the last one or the first one?
the last one.
Okay. It says no such resource. File not found.
Okay, okay,
F.
that's actually okay. So it seems to be an issue on my end, which is actually good news because it means I might be able to.
I just don't know why the.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I know what it is. Let me fix the link.
Okay,
Okay, see if it works now, Scout.
going in. Okay, it's working.
Nice. Papa
Thank you so
bless.
much. Thank you so much. I don't
Uh,
know why it was giving me so much grief earlier.
see, so uh okay, hold on. Let me hide this. I can't. Um. So basically, I just want to tell you guys how cool this is, but I don't want to dox myself, like to give too
Oh
much info on what I'm running. So I'm
yeah,
just gonna explain to you what I'm running. Basically, so I have this thing set up where I have a file server, right? So it's like it's an SMB server. So I can so it's what Windows calls a network share. So it sort of acts like a so it's a network share. So it kind of acts like a folder, but it's actually a server. So I can just like go in the folder and like move files, copy them, whatever. It's just a folder. It's very easy to use on Windows. Like it because again, as far as Windows is concerned, it's not literally like a folder. That would be more like another technology called iSCSI, but that's a whole different ordeal. But it more or less acts like a folder, at least as far as the end user is concerned. I can drop files on it very easily. And actually, the way I have it set up is that there is one in this network share, there's one specific folder that if I drop files inside of it, they get that folder is the root for a web server that I'm running. So
okay,
basically I can just drop a file in that specific folder and immediately that file becomes accessible as a download for anyone who has the correct link.
okay.
So that's how I like. That's how I
Nice.
share the whenever like that's how I share my ISOs. I just drop the ISOs in the folder, and then you guys can enjoy it. And this is so neat. Like I fucking love this.
So,
It sounds very simple when I say it like this, but setting
oh, no,
this
no,
up
no.
was a mess. But it's really cool. I'm very proud of it. It's so useful, so useful. Anyway, so I'm gonna give you guys a moment. Daniel, do not hesitate to ask for help and share your screen if you need some direction, because again, I don't use VirtualBox, so I can't really guide you. As for you, Scout,
My
I
downloads
think
have done.
yeah, I think you've got this for the for Linux Mint. You've installed a VM. Wait, no, you haven't installed a virtual machine,
No,
right?
but
Right,
I'm familiar at least with some of Linux and the ISO files. Like what you showed just makes sense.
right. And we're not actually gonna do that much Linux today, so it's not really so much about Linux as it is about just setting up a VM and understanding the basically setting up a VM is very similar to building a computer, except it's building a virtual computer.
Correct. And it's more allocation of resources than actually plopping in a part.
Exactly. Exactly. I will show you on screen the uh, my VM settings if you need a reference.
Okay.
How much RAM do you have again? 16 or is it 32?
16 right now.
16.
I'm upgrading that after my next paycheck.
Mm-hmm. And you have is it a 5800X?
37. Same core and
37.
thread count, but it's Zen 2, not Zen 3.
Is it 8 cores?
8 cores, 16 threads.
Okay, okay. The cool thing about lightweight Windows distributions is that you can easily run one off of like literally just one thread.
Yeah.
I thought the purpose of VMs was to play solitaire and other Windows XP games. Okay, we can do that.
Now the point of a VM is to play astronaut pinball.
Windows XP ISO. Let's go. Let's do
What was
it.
that space pinball that
Oh, I fucking love the pinball on XP.
Yeah. Oh, Space Cadet pinball, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't know I needed that until you said
Yo,
that.
Zeiss, do you have a link to the can you give me a link to the to the Windows ISO to Windows XP ISO? Cuz I don't want to get, you know, like if you type download something on the internet, it's not exactly.
Download more RAM.
Yeah, no, it's not just that. Like you type
I
oh,
know.
download 7-zip and you get like 20 of those, you know, Softpedia or whatever websites that are like, "Oh yeah, download the execute like the
You won't last
executable
5
from
minutes
here
playing this game.
and
I'm just kidding.
download our bloatware and whatever."
I know, I'm just kidding. All those ads like, you won't last 5 minutes playing this game. I'm just kidding. Mine's almost finished downloading, and then I can try to catch up super quick.
Right, right. Daniel, how are things on your end? Making progress?
Okay, I think I've I have two virtual machine two virtual machines that are in different subnets,
Okay, do
but
you
that
want to
are
like
connected.
okay,
Sorry?
do you want to like send us a screenshot of your VM settings so that I can like especially the network adapter part of it
Hmm.
just to see like how what it looks like on VirtualBox.
Okay,
See if it looks good to me.
let me check. One, two.
Okay, let's see.
Can you see it
Yep.
in the
Internal network,
network?
net 1, internal net. Yeah, looks good to me. Looks good to me. And you've created a clone. Now, okay, so just one thing, Daniel. We're not actually cloning the. So, have you installed Mint on those VMs yet or not?
Yes, yes. If you run them, it appears kind of a Linux thingy, and the clone is a full clone, so it can function without the first
No, but I mean, there
thingy.
is. Okay, so have you installed an operating system before on like a VM or on a physical machine?
Yes, yes,
Okay, okay. Because, like, first you boot into the ISO
yes.
and then you install. Okay, so you've properly installed it.
Well,
Okay,
it kind of was
because, like,
pre-installed. It kind of worked
does
without.
it when you boot it? Does it say like start Linux?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
do
yeah.
you
It
have a
says Linux Mint. I could share screen, so you can
Yeah, because I
see.
think what you might have done is not necessary. I'm not sure if you like actually installed the ISO or if you just like copied the
Yeah.
VMs before installing. I'm just not pretty sure. Okay, let me see.
Uh,
Yeah, you have not installed Linux Mint.
okay.
So that's what I was gonna say is make sure you
What the
first
hell?
install it. Like, it doesn't matter much, honestly, for what we're gonna do. It doesn't actually matter that much, but it's just better, you know? Um so basically
Just
you want
a
to
little
install it.
issue. It's
It's not
too
going to be an issue.
small.
It's
I
not going to be an
can't
issue.
see. So it would be of great help if you told me what is where, because
So
truly
basically
I can't
basically
read
you can just
that.
run install Linux Mint. You can just execute that, and
Okay.
it's going to walk you through a few menus which are pretty instinctive, like the language, keyboard. It's going to ask you for like your username, your password. And since this is just like a throwaway VM, you can just put like whatever. Yeah, see, this is you don't have enough.
Okay.
So okay. Make sure you have enough. Make sure you have at least like 30 gigabytes on your hard drive, because like we're gonna need three virtual machines here, two of which are gonna take
Three.
at least, like, yeah, that's the thing. We're gonna need three virtual machines, two of which are going to uh yeah, it's better. Two of which are going to take like at least 12 gigabytes, and then one of them is going to be maybe a little bit more lightweight. But basically, we're going to need three virtual machines, which are roughly going to need 10 gigabytes of storage each.
And then how do we clear the storage at the end when we're done?
Um,
'Cause
you can you
I'm
can
not I'm
delete the
not tight
VM,
on storage, but I am trying to like free it up at the end.
so you can delete the VM. That's, I mean, you always can. And you also have the option to delete the disk, but not the VM. Because the thing is, the VM is like a computer. If you delete the disk, it's like you just remove the hard drive from the computer, but the computer is still there, right?
Yeah.
So you can delete the disk.
Just my music production software takes up a shit ton of storage, so pretty
Mm-hmm.
much even 30 gigs makes a difference. I do plan on getting more storage eventually, but this is like my SSD scratch disk.
Okay.
But how do I delete the VM when I'm done? Also, I just finished downloading.
Well, you just go into VMware Workstation or VMware Player. Yep. You just right click and you do delete from disk or remove from library, but you know, whichever. But like you're just in your VMware client and you just right click on it and you delete it.
Okay,
And that's it.
that's actually pretty easy
And
then.
it will give you the option of deleting the hard drive of the machine or not. Like, because because here's the thing, like maybe you delete the VM but you want to keep the disk. So like it gives you it asks you, like, do you want to delete the disk as well or not?
Okay. And in this case, you say yes, just because you're getting rid of the computer. You're not getting rid of your own computer.
Right. If the point is to save up space, then you say yes.
Okay.
Okay, Daniel, how are you doing on the installation, on the Linux Mint installation?
It doesn't actually let me change the the storage settings, so I'm
Are
trying
you
to
sure
find
you
that.
have? Are you sure your hard drive, like, are you sure you've given it enough disk space? Because it needs at least like 11.7 gigabytes of storage. So make sure to give it at least 12.
Okay, so
I'd recommend going
uh
maybe even to like 13 or something. Like you wanna
oh,
have some
okay.
yeah.
Then I
How
click
many
I will install.
gigs?
Then I just click I will install this operating system, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Um What's funny is that technically we don't need. Okay, so um technically we don't need storage, so we could get away without storage, but I'd rather do it with storage because we are actually going to manually configure the inner, like, yeah, it gets complicated.
Do I go Ubuntu or Ubuntu 64-bit?
Where?
Okay, let me just share my screen real quick.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I show your screen on stream?
Yeah, no problem. I do not
Okay.
mind. So go to installer disk image, go to browse, Linux Mint, next, guest operating system Linux, and then
Yes.
Ubuntu or Ubuntu
Ubuntu
64.
64, yeah. It doesn't actually make that big of a difference. Like, it's just
Oh, and
basically it's just going to pre-configure certain options. That's all it's gonna do.
and then what do I name it?
Whatever you want. I named it Mint Client 1.
Maximum size, you said
I gave
two.
it I gave it 13.
Okay. Split disk into multiple files or split virtual disk into single file?
Multiple files. Basically multiple files make it so that it it only like it only on your actual hard drive, it's only as big as it needs to be.
Okay.
Like, inside the VM, it's always gonna show up as like 13 gigabytes, but on your
Okay.
hard drive, it's only as big as it actually is using.
Yeah,
Okay,
and then I click
customize
customize
hardware.
hardware. Yep.
Yep.
Memory. Ooh, 4 gigs. That's
You can go down to 248, yeah. So that would be 2 gigs of RAM. Two
processing
cores
cores.
seems 2 cores is good. Don't
Yeah, I'll
forget
go
to
with 2 cores just for this because
click the virtualize blah blah blah. Yep, this first one. Always check this one. And then you want to change network adapter.
oh, that's right. Cleaning up network adapter. Oh,
Yeah.
NAT.
You want to click on LAN. You want to select LAN segment.
Yeah, LAN segment.
And then on the button LAN segment below. There you go. You want to add 2 of them, so you can name them whatever you want. That's fine.
I'm
You
just
can
gonna leave
rename
them
them.
as
Yeah,
is.
that's fine. And you select one of them on the drop down list. Yep. Okay. And that's good.
And then close or add.
Close. Because add would like be adding an extra device to your PC. But actually, no, you're good. The hardware is good. And now you click finish. And there you go. Here it is. You can click on the. There we. Okay, hold on. Okay, so you're gonna have to restart your computer.
Shit. Okay.
You're gonna have to go in your BIOS, your actual BIOS, and enable enable virtualization. Basically, it's a feature that
Okay.
fundamentally, essentially, it just it improves virtualization performance. Um, it should be called something like AMD-V, um, or sometimes it's just AMD virtualization, or some like it depends on what your BIOS settings are. Unfortunately, kind of depends on the
The gigabyte motherboard, I know that
yeah.
much.
So it should be under CPU options.
Shit. Now is it F2, F10, or
It's usually F2.
F2?
Usually,
Okay.
what I do is I just run my finger through all the Fs. Usually, it works.
Okay, so I'm gonna restart my computer. So I'm gonna be out of the call for a second.
Yes.
I'm gonna try a couple of those. Shouldn't lose anything. It's not gonna cause any issues when I start it back up. I'm just enabling a feature, correct?
Yes. It,
Okay,
it it should not have any effect on anything else.
cool. I'll be right back, folks.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The virtual machine can't erase the software in my Mac, right?
Can't erase what in your Mac exactly?
Like it says that it hasn't detected any OS, so it's going to install. But it
Yes.
says
Yes. Okay.
that
Okay. Yes. Yes. So you've created a virtual hard drive. Like, okay, imagine this. You've created a virtual hard drive. So this is your physical hard drive, okay? On your actual Mac. And on there you have your Mac OS, you have your file system and all of that. And it's beautiful. Damn, this is disgusting. I cannot draw. Holy. Okay, there we go. This is a file, like a folder. Okay, so you have your file system and all of that. Inside that file system, the hypervisor just created a special file that should be like 13 gigabytes. And this file is going to be a virtual hard drive for your virtual machine.
okay,
Right? So what Linux Mint is doing right now is it's modifying this file that's on your PC. But it's only modifying the file on your PC. It's not erasing macOS.
okay.
Okay.
Let's let's
Real
see if
quick.
it doesn't.
So I'm in my BIOS, and then under BIOS, virtualization. Wait, what did you say it might be called again?
AMD-V or CPU virtualization.
Wouldn't be under MIT system, peripherals, chipset, or power, correct? Would be under BIOS.
Maybe. I actually don't know.
Oh, okay. 1 second. I'm gonna have to leave the call and I'll be right back.
Okay. Yo, Zeiss, where's the Windows XP ISO? Come on.
When you have it, please. I need it in my life. And also, installing the first virtual machine. So, maybe in around 10 to 30 minutes, I'll have all of them
So
with
you don't
the.
actually need to install it twice. That's what I was getting at. You only need to install Linux Mint once, and
Uh,
then you clone it.
okay.
So what you can do is actually delete the clone you've already created, right? And then just clone it
Yeah.
again. And don't forget to change the network adapter so that it is the you know internal network number 2, right? Does that make
Okay,
sense?
so yeah, kind of. So I need to have three VMs. One, it's a terminal, another terminal, kind of a firewall, and one is in a subnet. The terminals, each one in a different subnet, and the firewall is in both subnets, right?
So when you say terminal, you mean the Linux mints?
Yeah, yeah, the VMs.
Yes.
Okay.
So that so I was a bit confused by your use of the word terminal, but it is technically correct, so that's fine. Um, it is a terminal because it terminates the network, right? It's a leaf,
Yeah.
right? So that it's technically correct. um, so yes, we would have two terminals and then a firewall that we're gonna install later. If you want to move ahead with installing the PFSense firewall right now, you can go ahead and do that. It's gonna be fundamentally the same um, procedure. You're gonna create a new VM. You're gonna give it the PFSense ISO. Now, let me double check the PFSense minimum requirements. But I know it's pretty small. Right, PFSense minimal requirements would be, at the very least, 512 meg, so half a gigabyte of RAM, so very little RAM, and
Okay.
4 gigabytes or more of storage.
Okay,
So
so
I
half.
I would I would still go with 1 gigabyte of RAM.
Okay.
Otherwise, it might get fairly slow.
Okay. And how many storage?
Um,
Five?
let me double check though.
Yeah, don't
4 gig.
worry.
Yeah, 5 gigs should be all right. Should be sufficient.
Okay.
And the thing is, if it, oh well, we'll see.
So I just need to clone once, and the other VM is going to have the firewall software.
Yes.
Nice.
And so the thing, okay, so we're gonna do this together once one actually I think we want to do this together when Scout
Yes.
comes back. But the firewall VM is going to have three network adapters. One of
Yeah.
them is going to be an internal network one in
Okay.
internal network two, and one
Okay.
is going to be using NAT. So we don't know what NAT is yet, but again, that's for a future lesson.
Okay. Oh, you can play Minecraft in Linux Mint. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean you can play Minecraft on Linux because Minecraft runs on Java,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Java is cross-platform. You could play Minecraft on a mobile phone, on an Android. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if Java actually runs on iPhones, but probably Java runs on anything, man. Like literally.
Yeah, yeah.
That's in fact that's so the really cool thing is that's how Java was actually designed. Java was designed to run on anything. Java just I'm gonna blow your mind. Java is a virtual machine.
Yes. Of
Yes.
course it is.
Have you heard
Of
of the
course it is.
JVM, the Java Virtual Machine?
That. Oh my God. I. I was like, he's not gonna blow my mind. I've programmed in Java. I've made things in Java. I know everything in Java. And oh my God, it's true.
It is a virtual machine. It's the
It
JVM.
is a virtual
So all
machine.
so that's actually kind of the strength of Java, but also its weakness. That
Yeah.
it's super good at being cross-platform. because basically what Java does is it asks the system for like RAM, CPU, and maybe storage, and that's it. But the downfall is that that comes at the cost of, first of all, a lot of features, especially in terms of networking. Like if you want to do,
Hate
oh my
interrupt.
god, this was such a pain. Like on Java, developing for like
My bad.
networking stuff is such a pain. Um,
Mm,
and also it comes at the cost of security. Java is very insecure.
I know.
Scout, welcome back. Have you found
Yeah,
the
let me show you my
virtualization
screen real
setting?
quick.
Yes.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, it's there. Let me show you my screen real quick. I don't mind you showing it on screen. Let me make it a little bigger. Try it. Software is
Yes, you
available.
can
VM
download and
tools, download and
install it.
install, or remind me later.
Download and install. It is useful.
Okay.
And so while that
Got it.
is running in the background, you can double click on install Linux Mint. Because basically what you did there, you don't want to cancel. Just let it
No,
run.
I let it do its thing.
Okay. Just install Linux Mint like the little like inside the VM.
Okay.
You see the little like CD icon.
Virtual machine appears to be in
Just cancel.
use.
Just cancel. You just
Okay.
misclicked on something. So basically, what you did here is imagine you have a new computer with no operating system installed, and you just booted on a Linux Mint USB drive.
Okay.
That's basically what you did here. You just
Install
booted on.
multimedia codecs.
No, because you can't even download them anyways because you don't have a network connection yet. So just continue without checking that. And now it should just ask you for. So it's gonna ask you for. Yep, erase disk. Yes, that. Don't worry, that is not your actual disk. It's just a file on your computer. Continue. That's fine. Um, it's gonna ask you for username and password. If I were you, I wouldn't worry about it in the sense that this is just a throwaway VM. Security is not a concern. Right.
I mean, it's already my username. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. Password can be literally anything. Could also be just no. I guess it doesn't let you not set a password, but yeah.
I did the age-old password. Require my password to log in?
I mean,
No.
at this point, it's just a matter of how.
Or log in automatically.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how like easy to use you want it to be. Personally, I set it to log in automatically because again, I don't care. I just want it to like just work instantly.
Yeah.
And now it's just installing in the VM.
Cool. And then I can make a copied one and make that a second client and then connect the two.
Exactly. You can clone that VM once it's installed. You can clone it, which means you have a separate like you will have two different disks. And the clone you want to change the network adapter so that it is in the other LAN segment.
Okay. But yeah, no, the dumbass thing was the fact that I looked up how to do it for Gigabyte B450 motherboards, and either what they told me was out of date, or like I had to check a YouTube tutorial for me to even figure out where it was because it wasn't where they said it was.
Yeah,
Because they said like,
sometimes.
oh, it's under chipset, and I look under chipset. It's not under chipset. It was under like I literally had to go under my like overclocking settings, and it was under advanced CPU stuff.
Really, it was
Yeah,
in the overclocking.
it was in the
That is just
CPU.
bad.
It was in the. It's like, wait, what?
No, that is actually really bad because if you're a normal user, even if you don't do overclocking, this might be like if you're a developer. Like a lot of
Yeah,
developers don't. So this is the important thing. A lot of developers don't actually care much about like what Wendell from Level One Tech would call like IT janitor work, of which overclocking would be a part. So if I'm a developer and I don't care about overclocking, and in fact that I don't give a shit, right? But I want to enable virtualization simply because I'm running Docker, for instance. Well, suddenly I have to go in the overclocking settings that I don't want to touch to get a feature that I actually do want to use. It's a very bad idea. So back to business. So now that we all seem to have a working Linux Mint client, I'm also going to wait, can I not clone it? Settings. Where do I clone it? Oh, maybe I have to create a new VM, new virtual machine. Not really helping me. Can I really not clone? Huh. That is actually very strange. Let me look this up real quick because VMware workstation clone VM. Okay, VM manage clone. VM manage. No, there's no clone. Scout, I think you might want to try and fix your microphone. Hmm. Okay. Select the parent virtual machine and select VM manage clone. I mean,
Huh. Can you hear me now?
yeah, it's. I think you might have selected the wrong microphone. It doesn't sound good.
Well, no. My headset literally just bit the dust.
Oh, it sounds really bad actually. There's
Wait, I'm using my nice mic though.
there's some static.
Oh, let me. I know why. I have the gain set up too high. Is it a little bit better?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. I know why it was though that way.
I'm actually really puzzled here that it's not letting me clone because I really don't want to have to fucking manually remake a new VM with. Oh my god, it's gonna be so annoying. It's not letting me. It's not letting me clone it.
Okay,
Well,
I have it now. Both terminals.
so this is where unfortunately, yeah, no. Well, this is where VirtualBox actually ends up being a better solution than VMware Workstation because apparently we can't, Scout, we're not going to be able to just like clone the VM. So we're going to have to basically create a new VM with a copy of the drive. So we're going to create, we're going to copy, well, we're going to clone the drive and then manually create a VM with the clone of the drive. Okay. It's gonna be such a pain. Okay. So let's see. I know, right? In 2012? Damn, is it 2012 already? All right. I will install systems. Yes. Yes. Linux. Let's see. Mint client 2. Doesn't matter. Customize hardware. Where is see. There's no. Where's the hard disk? Yeah, no, I think it doesn't create the hard disk before it creates it. Okay.
I do actually have one quick question. It says the following devices can be connected to this virtual machine using the status bar. Do I just ignore that?
I'm not sure what that's referring
It's
to. So
referring to my like speakers, my
okay, yeah. So the
headset.
question is basically, do you want those USB devices to be connected to your VM or to your Windows host?
Oh, Windows host.
Right.
So no.
Processor.
And then installation is finished. You can continue testing Linux Mint now, but until you restart the computer.
You
So
might as well
is that
just restart right
it's
away.
restarting the VM, right?
Yeah.
That's fine then.
Segment client 2. Okay. Okay, here's the hard disk. And I actually want to move it. This is such a pain. So basically what you just did, Scout, you're going to have to do it again.
Okay.
Fundamentally. I wonder, yeah, that's probably easier. Yeah, because like apparently I can't find the option to actually just straight up clone the VM. So yeah, that's quite annoying. On segment 2.
So create new virtual machine. Give it the same ISO or make a copy of the ISO and make a new one.
Oh, it's the same ISO. That one's fine.
Okay, cool.
It's like you're just plugging the thumb drive into another computer.
Cool.
Let's go. Okay, let's install Mint again.
I'm sorry to ask this, but I'm truly desperate. I needed to add images to a PDF. Do you know how to do that?
So do you need to edit the PDF?
Yeah, I need to insert kind of a mind map that I made that is an image into a PDF.
So give me a second. I used to have something to edit PDFs.
Thanks. Thanks.
Can't remember what it was.
And then we choose LAN segment 2, correct?
Yes. We use the other one. I don't have.
Close.
I can't. Okay, I'm sorry, Daniel. I can't remember what software I used to do that with. Yeah. I don't have it right now. Wait, was it this? No. Okay, let's install Linux Mint again.
I will say this is infinitely snappier than the VM I had to use.
Which VMs?
Um,
Oh, you mean you have to use at university?
Spectrum wasn't liking me there for a second.
VMs you had to use for at your university? You kind of cut when you started mentioning the VMs. What VMs exactly?
I said works infinitely better than the VMs I was required to use for work. Like at
Oh,
least
for
it feels
work.
snappier.
Oh, well, because here's the thing. Like, if you have to set up work VMs and you have very limited, let's say, server real estate, server performance, right? You want to make sure to save as much as you can. We had similar issues at where I used to work, where similarly we basically set up a bunch of VMs for our users, our clients. And I remember being part of a conversation where we were debating whether we could run a specific kind of project or not. And one of my colleagues basically said, "Well, we can run it, but like it'll be barely usable at all." And the boss was like, "Yeah, sure, go with it." Which was obviously it was terrible. Like you can imagine the experience. But yeah, the a snappy VM. Like I'll also let me tell you something. One of the things that I use VMs for several things on an like I use VMs on an actual daily basis, like all the time. Basically, I have a Windows VM that's running all the time that I use for gaming or for mining, and I also have a uh, work VM that I use for all my development work. Um, Fiddling around with the correct settings, for instance, for displays and making sure it has enough CPU horsepower and all of that, it makes a world of difference. Once you start understanding the different drivers that exist for VMs and how to optimize it, it really makes a huge difference. Because basically now, when I'm working I have several VMs running, and it feels like I don't have VMs running at all. It's really smooth. All of that though comes at the cost of having a decent enough computer to run all of that.
Got it.
But yeah, running like I also so there is a super interesting operating system called Cubes OS. I love that operating system for many reasons, and I really don't like developers for them for this. Basically, it's a Linux distribution that's extremely focused on security, and it goes as far as basically putting everything in virtual machines. Your USB devices are all in the same VM. Your network interface is in a VM. Even your desktop that you're interacting with is in a VM. Everything is in VMs, and you can set up different environments. So, for instance, you can have a virtual machine for, I don't know, your personal stuff. You can have a virtual machine for your online persona. You can have a virtual machine for like I don't know, administrative stuff. You can have a throwaway virtual machine which just resets every time you close it. Um, and it's seamless. Like the way Cubes works is it's seamless. Like it doesn't feel like you're working with virtual machines. And I think that virtualization is actually the future of desktop like consumer computing. Even without going as far as what Cubes does, or even going as far as what we're doing right now, segmentation is a great way of keeping your privacy. Because, for instance, you don't realize it, but Discord is, for instance, the Discord app on your Windows PC or a Mac is communicating with your browser. So potentially, if you go on a website, if that website has access to your cookies, that website might know that you're using Discord. Like, that's a thing. But if you set up separate environments where you have one environment where you have your Windows and a different environment for your browser, then suddenly those things are not linked anymore. Or you can have several instances of Discord, for instance. You can have a work Discord and a personal Discord and a private Discord or whatever. And you can have several browsers, one of them with tons of shitty cookies and one that's really clean all the time. So I really think in terms of privacy, that sort of model is what we're going to get into at some point. Okay, so I have my
I
client
realized I
2
was muted.
running.
I said got it.
No worries. I have client 2 running. Now I'm gonna run client 1, and this is also where virtualization is really cool. Uh, you can run several VMs at a time. Who would have thunk? That's kind of the point, also. You know, remember when I mentioned server use for virtual machines? The whole point is actually to run several of them at the same time. Zeiss makes a really interesting comment here. This is why I at least compartmentalize browsers between personal and internet memes and wipe cookies on exit. The problem is that's very impractical. Like, the problem with wiping cookies altogether is it's so impractical. Whereas, because like you leave and you have to relog into everything, and maybe you have to go through 2FA and all of that. Whereas using virtual machines means you have one instance of a browser for some stuff and another instance of a browser for other stuff. You never have to relog in. You still have that. Well, still, cookies are like, as intrusive as they may be, they are also really, they enable very helpful features. And so having VMs, like um, having different instances running in different VMs or containers for that matter, is super super helpful, because you keep that, it is still as useful, but you also get that privacy bonus. Anyways, so have you guys been able to run both of your Linux mints at once? Are your VMs running?
Yeah, both of mine are running side by side.
Let
Let me
me
check my screen.
check. Oh god. Don't crash, please.
Yeah, this is where I'm a little bit worried for you, Daniel, because I know you're running on a sort of a weaker computer. So I'm a little bit worried, but I think it should work.
Yeah, it's working. It's just taking its time.
Okay, so that's fine.
Oh
So now
god.
comes the fun part, kind of. We're gonna create a third VM. And at this point, I think you barely really need my help. So we're actually, because basically we're doing the same thing as previously, except we're creating a virtual machine with 3 network interfaces. So let's go ahead and create a new virtual machine this time from the, have I not downloaded PFSense? No, I insist that you guys download it and then I forget to download it myself. The irony. Okay.
How much space do we need, Chief?
Shouldn't take too long though.
How much space do we need for this third one?
Um, Apparently 5 GB is sufficient, with only 512 gigs of megabytes of RAM.
Okay.
Those are the minimum requirements.
I'll do one.
Yeah, one
I'll
one
do
gig of
one
RAM is probably a little bit safer. Can't believe I actually forgot to download
and one
the
processing
ISO.
core.
Yeah, like, okay, so the
And
PFSense
for the
firewall is
network.
actually super lightweight. It really doesn't take that much.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
what do we do for the LAN segment?
Okay, so this is where you're gonna have to give me a minute. It's
Okay,
gonna take,
no problem.
apparently my download's gonna take 10 minutes. That's
But quick
my
question:
bad
when it goes out
entirely.
of these virtual machines, it no longer uses up those cores, correct?
Yes. Well, technically, it doesn't even use them all the time. It's not like, so we can go, since we have some time, we can go a little bit on a tangent here. So by default, if you create a VM and you say, I want that VM to use 1 core, First of all, that's a logical core, not a physical one. So depends on whether you have hyperthreading enabled or not. But more importantly, it means this VM can use up to one full core.
Okay.
So that means if the VM is idle, doing nothing,
You're giving it
the
its max
the core can still be useful to other stuff going on, can still be useful to the host, can still be useful to other VMs. So it's when we say I want to give a core to that VM, we're not dedicating one core to that VM and that VM only. By default. However, we can enable, there's a feature called CPU pinning, where you are actually pinning a physical CPU, and this is a physical core, and this is where it gets really cool. So if you want to make like high performance virtual machines, you want to do that CPU pinning thing. Basically, you use a tool that will allow you to see the actual architecture of your CPU and see the different dies, see how the cores are laid out, logically, obviously, not physically, but you can see your cores. And you still, and each you can see each core has a number, and you can select, okay, I want this VM, this virtual machine, like I want this virtual machine to have, for instance, 4 cores, and I want the core number 1 of my VM to be pinned to the core number 4 of my host, and then core number 2 of my VM pinned to core number 5 of my host, and so on and so forth. So this is called CPU pinning, where you are like very explicitly telling the hypervisor that you are explicitly telling it which actual cores on your computer you want to be pinned to the virtual cores inside your virtual machine. And at that point, those cores are dedicated to the VM. It's actually super cool. This is typically what you would use if you want to do like high performance virtual machines. So for instance, if you want to make a Windows gaming VM, which again, I would encourage everyone to at least try. But, you have, yeah, it's a whole rabbit hole, and it has several issues. First of all, you have to be comfortable with Linux, which most people aren't, for very good reason. Like, I will give Windows one thing, is that it's very easy to use, and sometimes, I miss just being on Windows and having an operating system that kind of just works on its own. I do mean kind of. It's not Mac OS levels of like it just works, but it's still much better than Linux. It's not that Linux is unstable, by the way. The Linux kernel is perfectly stable. It's just that you have, let's say things don't work by default. There's no such thing as like default on Linux. You kind of have to configure everything. And so it's likely to not work. But if you want to go Linux for whatever reason, like you hate Windows, you want to protect your privacy, or you just really, really like Linux, running a Windows gaming virtual machine is actually going to be really, really hard. Because one of the reasons it's going to be hard is because you need specific hardware. You need 2 GPUs. So that means either a physical GPU plus integrated GPU inside your CPU, or actually straight up like 2 GPUs inside your computer. And since AMD CPUs do not have integrated graphics, if you want to do that with an AMD CPU, you have to have 2 GPUs, which is what I currently have in my PC. I actually have 2 GPUs. I have a 970 that I use for my Linux host, and then a 2080 Super that I use for the Windows virtual machine. And let me tell you, it gets hot in there. It gets really hot. and configuring all of that is a mess. But like, if you like making things, how to explain it? if you like making things that change the way change the your daily life in a sense, it's a really cool thing to do. Um, Basically, that completely changed how I use my desktop on the daily. And to be fair, the GNOME, so on Linux there's no default desktops. There are actually several kinds of desktops you can get. One of them is GNOME, and that desk there is XFCE, there's GNOME, there is uh, KDE, um, and they have features. One of the features that I really like is actually the ability to have several desktops. So, for instance, I currently have 3 physical monitors, right? But with the Linux virtual desktops, it's more like it's as if I had 15. I have 5 virtual desktops, which is as if I had 15 monitors, but I could only interact with 3 of them at a time. And it's so cool because then I don't have to like minimize windows and gnomed. Yes, I got gnomed. I'm using gnome. It's as if I had like it's what I call desktop real estate. It's so good. It's so good once you get a taste of it. It's like going from 1 monitor to 2 monitors. It's like once you know how it feels, you don't want to go back. But yeah, I would encourage all of you guys to try Linux. Um, One big disadvantage it has is yes, it's not very easy to use, and I can understand that that's going to deter a lot of people. But then, like, it gives you. There are many reasons to go over to Linux. One of them being like, if you are someone who's concerned about your privacy, like you want to try and find an alternative to Windows or Mac OS as fast as possible. And that was actually my primary reason why I wanted to start using Linux. Anyways, I think my download is finished. So, rant over. Please tell me I have 7-zip. Where is PFSense? There it is. Fantastic. Okay, finally. So, back to installing this firewall. So PFSense is a firewalling operating system based on BSD. So it's not Linux. It is Unix, which is sort of the same family, roughly. Mac OS also is Unix. PFSense. But it's based on BSD. And BSD is actually super interesting. See, I'm going to give it 1 gig of RAM. BSD is super interesting because, as far as I know, it is the most. If you what you want to make is like a secure, like it's one of the most secure operating systems out there. More secure than Linux, as far as I know. Anyways, so have you guys created your templates for your firewall VMs?
No, because until now I
I'm on the
didn't
same
know
page you are currently.
which.
I mean, are we all at the step where we have to take care of the network adapters settings?
I am.
Yeah. What about you,
So
Daniel?
it's BSD.
BSD is the sort of so
Type.
you have different families of operating systems. You have Windows, you have Linux, you have Mac OS, and then you have some Unix based ones, such as you have Solaris, you have FreeBSD, or FreeBSD, and then you have a bunch of other ones that I can't remember from the top of my head. But yeah, it's FreeBSD. So it's not Linux, it's not Windows, it's not Mac OS. It's yet something else.
Okay.
But
And
the interface is going to be very simple. Like even though it's based on FreeBSD, is it FreeBSD or just BSD? I can't remember. But even though it's based on BSD, like the command line that we're going to be interacting with is going to be super simple.
Okay, so another question. Do I need 64 bits or 32?
64.
64.
So, okay, regarding 64 versus 32, 32 will, so it's basically regarding the kind of CPU you have. But if you have any CPU from the last, like, I don't know, 5, 10 years even, you have 64 bits. 32 will work on 64. 64 will not work on 32. So the 32-bit versions of softwares only exist for backwards compatibility sake. You know, in case someone somewhere is running a 32-bit CPU, you know, here's the 32-bit version. But it's getting to a point where it's so old that they might run into other issues as well. But yeah, if you have anything that is remotely from the current decade, it's gonna be 64-bit. And if you have any doubt, like actual serious doubt, you can go with the 32-bit version and it's gonna work on both. But you're gonna have worse performance. Like, you're not gonna have as good performance if you are actually running 64 bits, right? Anyway,
Okay.
bottom line is 64.
Because the system needs to know. So thanks. So I think that now I have templates and the networks are in theory connected.
Okay, so let's go ahead with the networks, right? So we said that we actually want 3 network interface cards. We want one that's connected to the internet, one that's connected to our client 1, and one that's connected to our client 2. So we actually this time we're going to be clicking on this add button here, and we're going to be adding more network adapters. So 1, 2, and 3. The first one is going to be configured as NAT. Now, without going into the details, fundamentally what that means is that it's going to use our PC's physical interface. So wherever you put NAT is going to be our uplink, our connection to the internet. Okay? And then network adapter 2, I'm going to just do LAN segment client 1, network adapter 3, LAN segment client 2. Does that make sense?
Yep.
How about you, Scout?
Yes, makes sense so far.
Okay.
I have mine matched to yours. Well, wait, do I? Yeah, one NAT, one LAN segment 1, and one's the.
One NAT and 2 LAN segments.
Okay.
One for client 1 and the other one for client 2.
Oh, do I rename them new ones, not the LAN segment 1 and 2 that I have?
Oh,
for the
you
other
can
ones?
leave them LAN segment 1, LAN segment 2. It doesn't actually matter. Like, the names don't matter. As long as it's the same names, but then it can be whatever. Okay. And, yep, I think that's it. So let's just go for it. Now, if I remember correctly, PFSense can be an absolute bitch to run in virtual machines. Like actually. So for instance, Scout. In our case, you see this button that says Ash finished installing?
Yes.
We're gonna click that after we've finished installing.
Okay.
Like, and I insist on that. And also, very important thing. When you are installing PFSense, using Control Alt might just reboot. No, actually, it's Control Alt Delete might just reboot your VM without finishing the installation. So I've had this issue before where I couldn't focus my mouse out of the VM with Control Alt normally. And so I did Control Alt Delete to focus out of it, but that had the side effect of rebooting my VM over and over. So
Okay.
once you click in the VM, you like be aware that you're not going to be able to click away until it's finished actually installing.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I mean, it,
do
or
I
it
do I
might,
hit
but it
enter
might
then
not.
or accept?
You accept and you do install. Then it asks you for key map, so I'm gonna select French.
I'm gonna select Danish MacBook. No, I'm just kidding.
And then continue with whatever key map I chose. I'm gonna use. So this is where it gets interesting. It's either auto BIOS or auto UEFI. I actually don't know how.
Wait. Uh,
Well,
United States of America for mine, right?
most likely BIOS is gonna work. Wait, you're talking about keyboard?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably the first one, the default one is probably query. So as for the disk partition option here, we're gonna go with the auto BIOS. I think it's safer. And now it's just running its things, so we're just gonna chill. The installation is now finished. Before exiting the installer, would you like to open a shell? Blah, blah, blah. No. I just want to reboot. There we go. Reboot. So now it's actually rebooting, and it should have finished installing PFSense. So you saw how fast this installation was. Like, it was really fast.
Yeah.
That's because
Wait,
PFSense is...
installation is now finished. Before exiting the installer, would you like to open the shell in a new system?
No, we don't need to open a shell. We just want to reboot right away.
Reboot. Got it.
Okay, I finished installing.
Okay.
Where do I get the ISO for PFSense?
He sent it in the Discord. That one actually did download for me.
Yeah. Wait, do you not have the ISO, Daniel? Or did you fetch the wrong ISO maybe? What happened?
Oh no, I'm just a little slow today.
Okay.
But I will catch up from.
Okay, sounds good. Let me see. Okay. So this is where things get kind of fun. If I'm not mistaken, so unfortunately, Daniel, I'm gonna have to wait for you to finish installing everything here because we really need to do this together. Because this is like PFSense basic configuration. All of this is stuff that you should know for the most part, or at least be capable of understanding. But like I want to be sure that we're walking through it together. All right, so I'm gonna have to wait for the both of you guys to have finished installing PFSense. All right, so yeah. let's see. Okay, looks good on Scout's end. All right, so I think, Daniel, unfortunately, I don't know how long your download is gonna take, so we're just gonna yeah, we're just gonna move forward. Let us know when you're caught up, and we'll finish that together. So let's see. There we go. So what is this? What is this interface right here? So Scout, what do you see right now on the PFSense screen? First of all, can we take a second to appreciate the fact that we are essentially running a network right now, a virtual network inside our computer? Like fundamentally, like now it's just a matter of configuring everything. But the setup we have on the right here, it's essentially done. Like it's just a matter of configuring IP addresses now. So can we take a second to appreciate that we already did that? We've done this. We have 3 virtual machines running at the same time. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh wait, no. I'm actually
So,
webcam. Damn it, that webcam isn't connected.
Scout, what do you see right now on the PFSense interface?
What was that?
What do you see right now on the PFSense interface? On the VM, the PFSense VM.
I see a WAN and a LAN.
Mm-hmm.
With IP addresses, with
Yes.
128/24, like at the ends, and 1/24 at the end of the LAN.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gives me a bunch of options if I hit 0 through 16.
Yes. So basically what happened right there is that we succeeded in creating a firewall that has 3 interfaces. Okay.
Okay.
One interface that's connected to the internet, one interface that's connected to our client 1, and one interface connected to our client 2. The thing is, by default, PFSense is supposed to be a firewall, which means it's supposed to be at the border between your network and the internet, which is roughly what we have here. So it has special naming, like it's going to name its interfaces based on what role they fulfill. So typically, the interface that's facing the internet is going to be called the WAN interface.
Okay.
Now, the reason why WAN actually means wide area network, which typically refers, like historically, let's say, that would refer to
the Linus Tech Tip podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, well, I mean that's where it comes from.
Yeah,
that's the same one.
I know. I'm just kidding.
So wide area network typically, let's see. Typically what it meant is that, like, let's say you have 2 office buildings, right? You have 2 office buildings separated by like a very long distance, right? But there is one cable linking the 2. That cable might be like a 128 kilobit per second, like a super slow connection, but a super slow connection that can cover a very large area, a very large distance. This connection would be called, historically, would be called a WAN link. Basically, a LAN is like, again, all of this is more historical than anything, but LAN essentially means short range and fast. So like Ethernet, for instance, an Ethernet cable is short range and fast. Whereas WAN would mean long range, but slow. today it's, let's say, just everything just got muddied. Nowadays, when you refer to WAN, it refers to your uplink to the internet, fundamentally. Let's see. Is the buffer big enough? Nope. Okay. Gonna have to redo everything. So, once again, we have our router connected to the internet, and then PC1 and PC2. This is our WAN. The reason being is, again, historically, the WAN is what's going out there, right? What's going outside. So in our case, that's what's connected to the internet. And the LAN would be our inside. So the WAN is like outside, the outside, and the LAN is the inside. Does that make sense? Scout?
Sorry, I was muted.
So does that make sense, right? WAN is
Yeah,
outside,
makes sense.
LAN is inside. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I normally have a toggle switch, and this one only lets me mute by software. So I've been a lot worse at muting
Okay.
and unmuting because I had to switch microphones halfway through this lesson.
Okay, no problem. So the cool thing is PFSense is actually going to automatically, like quite accurately, automatically detect how, like which interface is the WAN interface. Basically, it's going to detect where it receives DHCP packets from. So we're gonna go over DHCP some other time, not today.
Okay.
But basically, there is some way for it to
fact
guess which interface is the WAN interface, which interface is connected to the internet. And so we can actually check. So we're gonna have a way of actually checking which interfaces have what role, like which physical interface that we have manually configured on our VM serve which role as far as PFSense is concerned. We actually can check that by checking the MAC addresses, so the physical addresses of the interfaces. So this is where it gets a little tricky, as if it wasn't tricky enough yet. So basically, it's set up a WAN interface. Okay, great. What next? Well, you see there is a LAN interface. And you might say, that's cool and all, but don't we have two LAN interfaces? And the answer is yes, we do have two LAN interfaces. But by default, PFSense is only going to configure one.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say right now is that we have to configure the other. Sounds good?
Yep.
Okay. We actually have several ways of doing this. So you tell me what you prefer. We can either do all of that through the PFSense command line, or we can use the PFSense web GUI.
The command line never hurt me as long as I know what I'm typing.
Okay, sounds good. So let's go ahead with the command line. Now, so here's the thing about PFSense. The command line is only really meant for like very basic configurations, and then the more advanced stuff you're supposed to do through the web GUI. Basically, the command line is to make sure that you can access the web GUI, and then more advanced stuff happens on the web GUI.
Okay.
Okay. So this is why so to access the web GUI, you need to have working, like proper, like functional networking. So that's why you can set up networking on the command line. So we know we have three interfaces, but only two of them are used. So what we're gonna want to do here is assign interfaces. Option number 1. Actually. Okay. Option number 1, assign interfaces. So now we can see we have three interfaces. EM0, EM1, and EM2.
Okay.
Two of them are marked as up, and one of them is marked as down.
Up, down.
Right. Now, you see a weird... Do you see this, the sort of hexadecimal...
The hex code I was about to say, yeah.
Right. Those are MAC addresses. Now, I don't want to go into the details of like what MAC addresses do as far as networking is concerned, but what I will show you is how we can use those MAC addresses to check which physical, like to match those like weird roles that don't really mean, those weird names that don't really mean anything, to match them against the actual physical interfaces that we have configured. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go under Manage and Virtual Machine Settings, and we're gonna check our network adapters. So for instance, we're gonna
that manage.
So it's under...
Oh, it's under the player.
Yeah. Player, manage, Virtual Machine Settings.
Okay.
We're gonna check on the network adapter, the first one. We're gonna click on Advanced, and here we can see the MAC address. Do you see the MAC address of your interface?
Yes.
Okay. So now what we can do, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna open a notepad, and I'm gonna write down. So
Okay, I see.
I'm gonna copy this MAC address, and I'm going to say this MAC address is the NAT, the one that's connected to the internet. And then I'm gonna click OK because I'm not actually changing anything. Then I'm gonna go on the second interface, go under Advanced, copy the MAC address, and say this one is for client 1. And then do the same for the last interface. Advanced, copy the MAC address. Client 2. Okay. And now what I can do is actually match it against the MAC addresses that were showing up in PFSense. Right? Does that make sense?
That actually makes metric crap ton of sense. I'm doing it right now.
Okay. So basically what I'm seeing on my screen right now is that, let's see, interface EM0, it ends in 60. So that would be the NAT interface, the one that connects to the internet. So EM0, now I know that EM0 is my internet link. So that one should be the one that should be our WAN link. Now if I look at EM1 ends in 6A, that's client 1. I'm going to write down EM1 is this one. And obviously EM2, the third one. Okay. So now we're done with matching all the actual interfaces with their roles and all of that, now that we have a good idea of what we want, basically what we want is we want to make sure EM0 is our WAN link, EM1 is a LAN link, and EM2 is also a LAN link. We want to make sure that we end with that. So right now it asks us about VLANs. I haven't mentioned VLANs. Just skip it. No. Just we just press N, we don't want to set up VLANs. Now it asks us, enter the WAN interface name. The thing is, we wrote down right here, my WAN will be EM0. So I just type EM0. EM0 is my WAN link. Now it asks me for the LAN interface name. Similarly, we said that was EM1. Now, here's the tricky part. As far as PFSense is concerned, there is only a single LAN. So we can't have two LANs. Instead, we will have a LAN and an optional OPT. But functionally, it's going to be the same thing. It's just that instead of being called a LAN, it'll be called opt. But functionally, it'll be the exact same thing. So here, enter the optional one interface. That's going to be EM2. And then we just press Y because that is correct. Give it a moment. And okay, there we go. Took a while. So we've assigned our interfaces. Great. Now, so is it good? Like, is it good on your end, Scout?
Stupid mute switch. Yes, I'm good. It's
Okay.
set up.
The second option is going to be option number 2, set interfaces IP addresses. Right? Because we've set up the interfaces and now we want to give them IP addresses. We're going to do exactly that. Enter the number of the interface you wish to configure. Now, the WAN interface is essentially good. The WAN interface is basically configuring itself automatically, which makes a lot of sense. It's using a protocol called DHCP, which again, I'm not going to go into right now.
Does the D stand for dynamic?
Yes.
Okay.
Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, DHCP.
That makes a lot of sense. The second you said it was setting itself up, I was like, okay, it's definitely dynamic.
Yes, obviously. It's always dynamic, and the P is always protocol.
Okay.
Like if you have any like networking name thingy that ends with a P, it's always protocol. Almost always protocol. DHCP, NTP, SMTP. VTP. Anyway, so enter the number of the interface you wish to configure. Our WAN interface, which is number 1, is good. We don't need to touch it. The LAN interface is essentially, it's configured with it was automatically configured with an IP address, which was the IP address 192.168.1.1/24.
Okay.
But we're actually, I do think, let me think. We're actually going to configure it because I want us to enable something that's going to make our job a lot easier for tonight. So enter the LAN IPv4 address. So we're actually going to keep the same configuration, 192.168.1.1. And then subnet count would be 24. We can skip that. And here's the option that I wanted to talk about. Do you want to enable DHCP server on LAN? We're actually going to enable that. Basically, what that's going to do is instead of us having to manually configure our Linux clients, it will automatically configure our Linux clients. So like the IP, it will automatically configure our Linux clients with IP addresses. So it's actually just going to make our jobs easier. Maybe next time, or maybe like as some, like if you want to go a bit further, what you guys can do is actually disable the DHCP server on LAN. So here I'm going to do Y, but you can redo this with no instead and manually configure the clients with IP addresses instead if you would like. For now though, because it's already running a little late, we're going to do the simpler option and just select yes. Enter the start of the IP address. Here we're gonna do 192.168. 1, let's say 50, and 192.168. 100. Do you want to revert to HTTP? No. Okay. So now we have configured the link to client 1, the interface called EM1. Now, what do you think would happen right now if I was to go on Mint Client 1 and try to connect to the internet? Do you think it would work?
We've done a lot of setup, but I don't think it's quite there yet.
So what do we need to have to be connected to the internet?
We need to set the IP addresses for each.
So in theory, yes. But remember what I said, that actually what we've enabled, so on this interface right here, we've enabled the DHCP server. So it's actually giving a configuration, like it's automatically configuring our clients with IP addresses.
We need to configure the other subnet.
Quick question.
Hello?
If my terminal has desktop instead of just your terminal that doesn't have anything,
What do you mean?
on my VM,
Which one?
on the Mint client. Let me pull it up. You
I
see
mean,
how
I
mine
have
has
a
desktop and yours
desktop.
doesn't?
I mean, this looks good to me. Don't really see the problem.
Okay, just wanted to make sure it wouldn't cause any issues.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we have the same thing, so I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to.
Well, just the fact that mine autofilled it with desktop instead of nothing like yours autofilled. I'm just talking this spot right here.
Oh. Oh, that's because, so that's just no, don't worry about it.
Okay.
That's just a Linux thing.
Okay, no problem. Just wasn't sure because it didn't look like yours.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make a difference. Okay, so we're actually so close right now. So you see this icon right here on the Linux Mint?
Yes. Oh, that looks like an Ethernet port.
That looks like an Ethernet port. And if you look the other if you look at the other VM, right? What do you see at this exact same spot? Do you see an Ethernet port? No,
No.
you don't. You see this weird circle,
Mine actually has a dead Wi-Fi signal.
which basically in both cases what it means is that it doesn't have a network connection. As in it's plugged in, but like it doesn't have IP configuration.
But
So
it was like my Wi-Fi the other night.
basically what I'm trying to say here is if, oh, okay. Oh yeah, I disconnected it. Okay, now connected again. So what I'm trying to say is that we have internet connection.
Oh.
Yeah, we're connected to the internet on the Linux Mint 1.
Mine's not.
Are you certain? So you plenty of things could have gone wrong. Are you sure you enabled the DHCP server when we configured the LAN IP address?
Ooh, let me double check. Would it be under set interface IP addresses again?
Yes, so we can run through this again.
Okay. Enter the number of interfaces you'd like to configure to.
Yep,
Enter
2.
the new LAN IPv4.
So 192.168.1.1.
Enter the new LAN IPv4 sub. That was 24.
24. Just press
And then we
enter. Just press enter.
Yeah,
And
let's
then
press
do
enter.
yes.
Yes, okay. And it was 192.168.50.
Yeah.
Okay. Or
dot 1.50, and then 192, 168, 100. And then no, or yes or no doesn't really matter, but I'd rather do no.
I did that. Okay.
And then try again.
Let's see.
Yep, looks good to me. Try ping 888. Oh no, you need to specify a destination for your ping.
Oh,
Try 8.8.8.8. There you go.
Oh, okay.
It's connected to
so
the
I did
internet.
have it set up. I just forgot to set where I was pinging it. That's my
Yeah.
bad.
I mean, if you want to send a letter, you better specify where you want to send it.
Yo, nobody gave me the address to the North Pole, so I'm just kidding.
And now the last thing that's left for us to do before we can finally put all this behind us and go to bed is set up the other interface. So the one that's connected to client 2.
Okay.
And it's basically going to be the same thing. The only difference is instead of doing 192.168.1, we're going to do 192.168.2.
Okay.
It's that simple. So an option, I'm going to do option number 2. I want to change interface number 3. The IP address would be 192.168.2.1. 24.
192.
This one we skip.
Oh yeah, this is skip. Why did we skip this? Just out of curiosity.
So basically, it's to that option that we skipped. So there are 2 options. The second option is for IPv6. We don't care about IPv6, so we just skip it. The first option is to set up a gateway. And the thing is, it only makes sense for us to set a gateway for an uplink. A gateway is a default route. Do you remember we've talked about that like a couple of weeks ago?
Okay.
Default route, gateway. So basically, it's asking us, hey, where do we send the traffic by default if we don't know where to send it? In other words, is this the uplink? So it only really makes sense to set it up for a WAN interface, for an interface that's connected to the internet. For an interface that's connected to our LAN, it would not make sense for us to run a default route there, right?
Ooh. Yeah, so mine didn't ping correctly, doesn't look like.
192.168.250, 192.168.100. No. Okay.
I did that and I pinged it and I thought it would work. It said network connection established.
My VM is working on my Linux Mint 2. Open up a terminal, ping. Oh, it's not.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mine did the exact same thing.
Hold on, give me a second.
Mine did the exact same thing yours did.
So I think I know what happened. We're gonna have to go through the web GUI.
Wait, I don't know how to back up and
you don't need to back up. You did not do anything wrong. What you did was correct. It's just that we need to set up another setting. Essentially, remember that this is a firewall operating system.
Yeah.
So basically,
I just find it weird that it worked on the first one but not the second one.
So remember, basically it's because one of them is a LAN and the other one is an optional. So basically, by default, the LAN interface, which would be
What's going
number
on
one,
there?
this one,
It's connected
has
to the-
everything allowed. It can just send it all the traffic at once. However,
really
an
damage.
optional interface by default cannot send anything. So we have to configure the firewall, because at the end, this is still a firewall. In the end, it's still a firewall. We have to configure the firewall and tell it, hey, by the way, allow all the traffic coming from the optional interface.
Okay.
So it's not that difficult, and it's going to give us a great excuse to actually go through the PFSense web GUI.
Okay.
So you can use it through whichever of your of the VMs. If you use it, okay, so you have to open up a web browser, so Firefox, for instance. And you have to go to HTTPS 192.168, and then it's going to be 1.1 for client 1 or 2.1 for client 2. Right? So basically we're trying to access the firewall itself.
Wait, do we do this in VM? Oh, on VM1, my bad.
VM1 or VM2? It's 1.1 for VM1, 2.1 for VM2. Why is it searching on Yahoo? Is this a joke? Oh my.
Funny to me. Let's see.
Can I just fucking... Okay, there we go. Okay. So what I did is I actually went in the settings, and instead of having the search, like the URL bar be used for searches, I made the search bar be a separate thing. It's just Firefox being annoying. So do you have this screen? Hold on, let me check.
Mine's still taking its sweet ass time, but
Yeah, it's because you are on client 2. Do what I just did, which is go in the settings and like no, in the Firefox settings.
preferences.
Yeah. And normally look in the search settings. Add search bar into the bar. Yeah. So now when you use the URL bar, it should work better, I think. So try again. Try that again. Oh no, you know what? No, it's not gonna work. Yep. No, you have to use Linux, the client number 1. Yep.
Okay.
Because again, like I explained, all the connections coming from number 2 are denied, including the connections trying to access the firewall web GUI. So all of them are denied. That actually makes sense. Yeah, I forgot about that. 1.1. Yep. There we go. Okay. So this here, so it says potential security risk. There is no potential. There is no risk, right? Let me be very clear on that. It's just because the certificate is self-signed for an HTTPS connection, and it makes sense that it's self-signed because
I've
like
dealt with that back in my day. So
yeah, it's the
emulators on
certificates,
iPhone.
HTTPS certificates, certificate authorities, and all of that. That's a fascinating topic, but we're not getting into that today. So what we're doing, clicking advanced, and accept the risk and continue. So advanced, and then you scroll down after clicking advanced. Yep, scroll down.
It's scroll down. Huh.
Yep, accept the risk and continue. Okay, we get to this interface. we're gonna go admin, and password is, if I remember correctly, PFSense. Yep, that's the one. So basically, this is just the default username and password for the PFSense firewall. And now it's going to run us through a basic wizard to set up like a better password and all of that. So let's go ahead. Okay, next. Okay, host name is fine. Domain, it's fine. Skip. Sure, skip. Configure WAN interface, we've already done this. Basic options are fine. Let's go next. Configure LAN interface. We've already done that. It's fine. Set admin web GUI password. We can set an actual password. I'm not gonna bother. It's gonna be a. I'm gonna set up a bullshit password, but there we go. And then click reload. Sure. And so now it's actually. If you look at your VM, you can see that the something's going on in the console.
Oh yeah.
Okay, PFSense is now configured. Fantastic. We can check for updates real quick. And so what we're doing right now is configuring our firewall, but through the web GUI. Okay, who cares? Whatever. So, where I wanted to re-change things, like, who cares about the update? Like, just whatever. On the top right, you can see a drop down. You see an icon for a drop down menu. Under fire, you're gonna click firewall, and you're gonna click rules. You should see 4 tabs. One called floating, one called WAN, one called LAN, and one called opt1.
Okay.
So basically what we want opt1 and LAN to be the same, to have the same rules. These are the actual firewall rules. These are the filtering rules. So if we look at LAN, for instance, basically this rule right here, the second rule in the list, is basically says any traffic incoming from the LAN interface is allowed. So it doesn't filter anything. It doesn't filter out anything. However, if we check option 1, there is no rule at all. It's completely empty. Except this is a firewall. So by default, a firewall is going to block traffic. So what this means is we are blocking all the traffic for for interface called optional 1. And we're not allowing anything. Like by default, we refuse everything, and we're not explicitly allowing anything. So it's just denying anything. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what we want to do is add a rule with action pass.
Add it up or add it down?
It doesn't make a difference because it's the only rule. It's just
Okay.
where on the list you want it to do. Do you want it, because basically the rules are read sequentially from top to bottom. But if you only have one rule, like basically the add top or add bottom is just, do you want to add it to the top of the list of rules or to the bottom of the list of rules? But since it's the only rule, it doesn't make a difference here. So action pass, interface option 1, address family IPv4. Sure, we could do IPv4 and IPv6, but it doesn't make a difference. Protocol. We're going to select any. Source, any. Destination, any. We're not going to log, and we're going to save. And then click apply changes. So basically what we're doing right now is allowing literally all the traffic incoming from the interface called optional 1, which is actually connected to client number 2. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And now if we hop over to client number 2 again, and we try pinging, what do you think is going to happen?
Let's hope.
Well, it works. Now the
Hey.
pings go through. And I'm just curious about one thing, but I think if we try accessing the web GUI again from client number 2, I think it should work, but I'm not 100% positive. So let's try that out.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it does work. Nice. And then we can admin with the password beep. Oh, interesting. What's going on? No, it worked. Okay. And there we go. We actually have it set up now.
Can we ping the other one?
Well, let's try.
It says incorrect password though on mine.
Make sure it's the password you just set.
Oh.
Right? Remember you had to change it during the wizard, the initial wizard. You're a wizard, Harry.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Can we ping? Can the VMs ping each other? Ping one. So I'm on VM number 2. Ping 192.168.1. Actually, I don't know what the IP addresses are, so I need to check. Because again, the IP addresses were set dynamically. So the command for that would be IP address.
That's okay. We're starting to.
And we can see that the IP address for VM number 1 is 192.168.1.100. So let's go ahead and ping. And the ping does go through.
Wait, which line is that again? Because I did
right
mine on
here. So
yeah, iNet. Oh, okay, I got mine. Yeah, mine's 168.250.
So that would be for VM number 2, right?
Correct.
Right? Because it's 192.168.2. So that's the segment for VM number 2.
Yay, okay.
Well,
they're pinging each other.
Yep, and it's pinging the internet as well. Now, the really cool thing that we've done here.
How do I stop it from going though?
What's that?
How do I stop it from continuing?
Control C.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, this is where it gets weird. So if you ever use a command line, whether it's Windows or Linux, Control C cancels, but it's not copy. But if you want to copy, you do Control Shift C. And if you want to paste instead of Control V, it's actually Control Shift V.
Okay.
So yeah.
Good to know.
Pro tip. So there we go.
Okay.
That's what I wanted us to do today.
Okay, that actually was kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry if I was a little brain dead on some of that.
That's fine. That's fine.
This is the stuff I wish they taught me in high school instead of friggin' Wuthering Heights and other really boring books.
Well, I mean, it depends, you know.
Yeah.
This is pretty advanced stuff. I'm not exactly sure how comfortable I'd be teaching this to high schoolers, to be honest.
That's fair.
This is not so simple. And I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't exactly say you've mastered this at all. Like, I don't, if I asked you, like, to draw me a diagram of what we've done here with IP addresses, I don't think you'd, I think you'd probably make a few mistakes.
I'll work through it on paper till next week, and I'll show you how wrong it probably is.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where, so this lab right now, what we did is I sort of walked you guys through it.
Yeah.
What I want you to do for next time, and this time I'm going to insist, I want you to actually take some time to do it.
Okay.
It's basically redo all this by yourselves. And and
like close out,
draw me, and I want you guys to draw a like beforehand, I want you guys to draw a diagram of like what the setup is going to be like, and I want you to predict what the IP addresses are going to be.
Okay.
Like I want you to decide, okay, here's this IP address with /24 whatever, this IP address on this interface, and so on. You're not going to be able to determine all the IP addresses. Like, for instance, you cannot determine the IP address of the WAN interface because it's dynamic. So it's chaotic. It's not under our control.
Okay.
Okay. Also, one of the reasons. So yeah, for next time, I want you guys to redo all this. So one way you can do that is if you have enough storage space, you just reinstall. Basically, you just create more VMs and you do it again. Or, you delete everything and you start from scratch.
Okay.
Obviously, you have the VOD available on YouTube
Yeah.
if you need a reference. But I would really like you guys to do it again and to get more familiar with it. Especially because there are some options that I sort of glossed over really quickly, especially regarding DHCP. And I'd be super thrilled if you guys had some very interesting questions about DHCP for next week. Okay? Or even better, if you feel like it, you can do some research on without necessarily going as far as looking into how DHCP works necessarily, just like the basics of what it does, so that you can understand what you just did there when you said yes, enable DHCP, and here's the start IP address and the last IP address or whatever.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
And then to clear these, basically to delete them or to get rid of the disk, would that be a setting in VMware?
If you want to delete them, you just.
Like, I'm not going to do it right now, but just.
I mean, I can. I don't mind at all because, I mean, these are just shit VMs. I can do this in 5 minutes. Doesn't matter too much. So I'm gonna shut one down.
Okay.
So here's my Mint client 1. I just do right click, delete from disk. And here it asks me, are you sure you want to delete the virtual machine, blah, blah, blah. And I click yes. And that's it.
Oh, okay. That's pretty easy.
And it deletes the disk with it.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty easy. Okay.
Yep. Daniel, are you still with us?
Yeah.
Now, what about the FreeBSD VM
Well, that is PFSense.
or PFSense?
Yep, you're running PFSense means you're already running BSD. Daniel, were you able to follow along a little bit?
I understood theoretically. I'm not sure I would be able to do it by myself. Well, I guess.
You could follow. You could try following along
not
with the bot
good.
and try to do it again.
Sorry.
You could try following along with the bot again, and if you
okay, I have an idea.
Free time, and we can do it together.
Yeah, exactly. Here's what you guys are gonna do. You're gonna work together to do this again without me.
Yay.
How does that sound?
What day would you want to?
Interesting.
Or even like,
I mean, that would be off stream. That would be without me.
Yeah.
So you can discuss that amongst yourselves
Okay.
after the stream.
No
So yeah, it would be really good if you guys were to sort of do this again together and sort of try to figure out exactly what you're doing, because I can tell that you still don't quite have the mastery of what happened here.
Yep.
And I'd be super thrilled if you came back with very, very interesting questions. Even if they're basic, they don't have to be very intricate, but they can still be very interesting.
Okay.
Right.
Could you please just help me with the installation of
PFSense? Yes.
PFSense. Yeah, because I thought that I had it, but then it rebooted and then it kind of didn't work.
Oh, so just delete. The simplest way to go about this is to delete the VM and do it again. Well, that's kind of.
No, but it's installing again, like from the beginning. Like if I didn't install anything.
So what, do you interrupt the installation every time? Oh no, okay, I know. Okay. I know what's
You have
happening.
the
Basically, what you're doing is you're always booting on the installation ISO.
Okay.
So next time it reboots, instead of letting it reboot, you just shut it down, and you remove in the components in the components. Let's see. Let me check. Okay, in the storage, one of the you should have something called a controller IDE something, and something called an optical drive that contains the ISO for PFSense.
Yes.
Okay, you remove that. You remove the optical drive that contains the ISO.
Sorry. I, I removed the ISO.
Yep. Because
Oh,
the ISO
well.
is only there so that you can install it. Once it is installed, you don't want to boot on the ISO anymore.
Okay, so then are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
So it's installing, and after it's installed, I just delete the ISO and run the VM.
Yes. Or
Okay.
yeah, I mean, there are several ways of doing this. But yeah, that would be one way of doing it.
The
So
installation is
you
not
hit
finished.
no,
No.
you hit reboot,
Okay.
and then you're gonna have to be quick to shut it down before it actually reboots, because it's... Yep, okay. I think you just, yeah, okay, it's powered off. And now you remove the optical drive.
Let me now just show you my VM. My.
Oh,
Can
by
you
the
see
way,
it?
Daniel, if you want, I am completely free Sunday anytime after 3 o'clock. Outside of that, I work pretty late the rest of this weekend.
Okay, so 3 o'clock Eastern.
3 o'clock Eastern time, anytime that time or later. So
Okay, I
we can
think
have time later.
I can at that time.
Yeah. Otherwise, I am off Monday, Tuesday, but Monday evening, I'm about to knows where I'm going to be, and then Tuesday evening. Are we doing class next Thursday or next Tuesday?
I think I like Thursdays.
Okay, I can either do Sunday or Tuesday if Sunday doesn't work for you. So just let me know on either of those 2 days.
I think no. It
No,
can't
no. It's
be.
good. It's good. It's good. It's
It's
good,
good.
Daniel. Look at it. It's different. It's working. It's working, Daniel.
Oh my god. Okay.
Wait, hold on. What's going on? Give me your No,
It's not
I can't see
working.
your screen properly. But I think it's running.
No. Good. Just where we started again.
Oh no, is it installing again?
Yes. That's why I deleted the
Did you remove
ISO.
the optical drive?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, I still see it. IDE primary device 1 optical drive. It's still there.
No, I
Okay.
deleted
Hold
it.
on. Hear me out.
I
Hear me out. Here's what you're gonna change instead. Right now, before rebooting, right now, what you're gonna do? You're gonna change under. So I'm gonna. Can I show this on stream?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm seeing it.
So
Okay.
what you're going to do is you see under the
Okay.
system tab
Yes.
the boot order. I want you to change it to hard drive first.
Okay.
Hard drive, then floppy, then
System.
optical.
I think I can't change it.
I'm certain you must be able to.
Um. Uh. 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 uh, uh, um. Uh, could you see my screen? Try to see
I
my
only
screen.
see I only see
Uh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
your
Sorry.
main
Sorry. Let me. No. It's this. Yeah. Okay. So
Okay, okay.
this is
Yes, perfect, perfect. Oh,
no.
you can't change it while it's running. That's so stupid.
That is kind of
Okay.
dumb.
So let me then
Okay,
close.
go under storage.
Okay. Then hard disk.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Yes, hard disk on the at the top. Yep, perfect.
Okay.
And then you hit OK. And so what that's
Okay.
going to do is that next time you reboot, it's going to try and reboot on your hard drive instead of rebooting on the ISO.
Okay. Then. Thanks.
Yep, installing it again and
Yeah. Yeah.
again and
Yeah. Yeah.
again and again. Poor Daniel. Oh god.
I'm used to it. All my life I've been struggling with all my computers.
I mean, this is only the beginning. Let me tell you, this is
No.
only the beginning.
No.
This is the easy part.
We in Mexico have an expression, well, in the central Mexico, to express frustration, like the utmost frustration a person can feel. Chale. It's chale.
Charlie.
Ah,
Oh
chale.
man. Yeah, computers, like especially working with home labs and systems like this. Oh, there you go. It actually
Oh
runs.
my god!
Look, there you go. You got it.
Oh my god! Amazing! Okay.
Congratulations.
Yay!
So, effectively right now, you have the
Okay.
setup running. Now it's just a matter of configuring everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. You think you can do it by yourself?
Yeah, I took notes.
Okay.
Um,
I'm streaming on YouTube right now, so the VOD should be up pretty much right now.
okay. Nice.
Right.
Let me
So,
check.
yeah. Um, now guys, I'm gonna have to go. It's running pretty late,
Yeah,
In your case.
for us too.
right? Um, next week we're gonna next week we're going to run with DHCP. So next week we're gonna do some DHCP. We're gonna do some DNS, and we might do a little bit of firewalling. I'm not exactly sure yet. We'll see. So
Well, I got it. I also, Daniel, I shot you a direct message on Discord on when I'm free.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
feel free to get me at any of those times. I can also technically work with you Monday. On Monday evenings, I'm kind of busy, but if you have time Monday morning EST, let me know. But yeah, either Sunday after 3 or I'm open Tuesday all day. So just let me know.
Okay. I'll let you know.
But yeah, we can work on this together. And Batu, thank you so much for that lesson. That actually like at least the setup process I understood. I'm gonna try to think of the theory in it while I build it next time.
mm-hmm.
That way I can write it down and send you a written one for next class.
Yes, that would be ideal.
Yeah. But thank you so much. I think I'm gonna pop out for now.
Yep. Okay. Sounds
Later.
good. Later.
Oh, yeah, later.
Thanks. I mean, this is amazing. Completely amazing. Um, so I'll also have to leave. But
Yep.
thanks, really thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're very welcome. I appreciate that you guys take such dedicated interest in these lessons, which can get pretty long, difficult, and tedious.
Yeah. But it's okay. We do it for because we're masochists, but also because we love
I mean,
computers, right?
yeah, it's and again, like when I say this is only the beginning, I mean it, man. You haven't
Like,
begun to see the end of it. It only gets worse from here. You better get used to this nightmare of just things not working and you have no idea why. And one day, and this is so I'll say this about computer science is if you keep working like this, like on a regular basis, even without like going super hard or whatever, just being regularly exposing yourself to computer science stuff, uh one day you're gonna wake up and realize, holy shit, I'm really good at this. I've learned a lot in like a couple of years or whatever. Like for instance, I didn't know, like I've studied computer science, but for instance, as far as like computer hardware is concerned, 2 years ago I knew basically nothing. I knew the utmost minimum. I barely knew anything about like current computer hardware and stuff. Um, and now I'm very confident. I know my tech. So yeah, you can learn a lot just by exposing yourself to these topics.
yeah, completely. And this is going to be super useful. It's super useful,
Oh yeah.
but
I mean,
yeah,
it is super useful. It's really fun because you can build things yourself. It's I'd say though it might be a bit difficult to sort of use that as as a credential on a resume. Like it's really hard to say, hey, I like unless you have a certification or a degree for something. It's really hard to convince a recruiter that you actually have a skill in anything. But if you have a home lab, that might be interesting. Like a home lab, as in like a server running constantly with specific technologies implemented, like that might be a good thing. That might count as a credential. But for the most part, I think for the most part we do this for fun. Like this is just the fun of building things. And also, as you see, like the really cool thing about virtualization is that suddenly you can run a host of different things. Like you can run firewalls, servers, monitoring operating systems. Like you can run so many things off of just like one PC. All you need is like one power PC running 24/7, and you can run an entire infrastructure off of it.
wow, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is really, really cool. Anyways, thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Bauto. See you later.
Yep. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye. So, guys, this is the end of the stream. If you have any questions, go right ahead. Today was tedious. I was not expecting today to take this long, to be honest. Um, but again, this is the first time we actually do something quite concrete. You just got here. What did you miss? Man, you missed some really cool stuff. We is that a Kappa HD? We basically built an infrastructure of virtual machines, and like we weren't using just the Cisco packet tracer thingy or whatever. No, we were actually running 3 virtual machines and connecting them together and setting up firewalls and stuff like that. It's actually pretty cool. It's actually pretty cool. This is like tonight we did exactly the kind of thing that 15-year-old me would just look at and be in complete awe. It's like, oh wow, that's so cool. Didn't miss anything? That's just rude, man. I'm gonna have to ban you. But yeah, really cool stuff. Virtualization, what we did tonight and what we sort of introduced last week and did tonight, it is basically the fundamentals of what you're gonna have to do if you want to run like a server or a home lab or something even remotely consequential. You're gonna have to go through this. Oh, okay, okay. Can I? Anyways, thank you guys for hanging out. I very much appreciate it. And I will see you next Thursday. I hopefully will have some exciting news on Thursday. Thanks for watching. Bye.